A young man by the name of Jimmy Lee Jackson had been murdered. We made a decision to march in an orderly, peaceful, nonviolent fashion from Selma to Montgomery.
We're marching today to dramatize to the nation, dramatize to the world, that hundreds and thousands of Negro citizens of Alabama, but particularly here in the Blightville area, denied the right to vote. We intend to march to Montgomery to present same grievances to Governor George C. Wallace.
As we approached the bridge, we saw a sea of blue. Alabama State Troopers.
Detrimental to your safety to continue this march, and I'm saying that this is an unlawful assembly. You are ordered to disperse, go home, or go to your church. This march will not continue.
We said, Major, may I have a word? We said there would be no word.
Troopers here advance toward the group. See that they turn around and disperse.
In the head. My knees went from under me. I thought I was going to down the bridge.
Amid record-breaking early voting this midterm season, concerns of voter suppression are at the center of some of the country's most contested races.
Things like strict voter ID laws, getting rid of same-day registration, cutting back on early voting, purging the voting rolls, limiting the number of polling places.
When we begin to look at these voter suppression laws, overwhelmingly African American, Latino, Asian American, young, and poor, that's the group that is targeted.
We had the very first sit-in here in Nashville, and I took my seat at the counter. I asked the waitress for a hamburger and a Coke.
I said, I'm sorry, our management does not allow us to serve niggers in here.
Altogether, it was a moving feeling within me that I was sitting there demanding a God-given right. And in spite of all of this, I had to keep loving the people who denied me service.
They come in and they sit down, and we're not used to them sitting down beside us because I wasn't raised with them. I never have lived with them, and I'm not going to start now.
First, we had to change. And since we were no longer going to accept segregated lunch counters, it was over with. We protested because we had changed. We continued to give them the opportunity to also change because we believed that it was possible.
On February 27th,
80 Nashville students were arrested out of over 300 who were participating in the sit-ins that day. As the students were confronted with the choice of paying a $50 fine or spending over a month in jail, each of them chose jail. Their attitude reflected the words of Reverend Martin Luther King. We will meet the capacity to inflict suffering with the capacity to endure suffering. Do what you will to us, but we will wear you down.
We felt unity, we felt power, we felt strength. I don't think any of us will ever forget it.
Nashville became the first major city in the South to permit whites and Negroes to eat together in public places.
You come to that point, this feeling that if you don't do it, if you don't do everything you can to change things, that you remain the same. And you only pass this way once. You have to give it all you have.
Willing to risk their lives? And could we be any more blessed than to have John Lewis here with us in Dallas, Texas?
I would see those signs that say white men, colored men, white women, colored women, white waiting, colored waiting. And I would ask my mother, my father, my grandparents, and my great-grandparents why. They would say, boy, that's the way it is. Don't get in the way. Don't get in trouble. But in 1955, 15 years old, the action of Rosa Parks, the words and leadership of Dr. King inspired me to get in trouble, what I call good trouble, necessary trouble. It's time for all good people in this state, here in Dallas, to get in trouble. You know, I got arrested a few times during the 60s. 40 times. And since I've been in Congress, another 5 times. And I'm probably going to get arrested again for something. But my philosophy is very simple. When you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, say something, do something, get in trouble, good trouble, necessary trouble. But to save our country, save our democracy. I wish you well. Thank you very much.
We cannot afford to let that happen. As long as I have breath in my body, I will do what I can. Well, it's a very difficult time that we're going through in America. My greatest fear is that one day we may wake up and our democracy is gone. We cannot afford to let that happen.
Up until now, they only had 3 machines, and that forced some folks here to wait in line for hours.
Those votes could be crucial for Democratic candidate Stacey Abrams, who's looking to be the first female black governor in U.S. history.
There are forces in America today want to take us back, but we're not going back. We've come too far. We're going forward.
They want everybody to vote. I don't want everybody to vote. Elections are not won by a majority of people. They never have been from the beginning of our country, and they are not now. As a matter of fact, our leverage in the elections quite candidly goes up as the voting populace goes down.
Our democracy is under attack, and it's under attack in a way that we have not seen for 50 years.
Today, I come with a heavy heart, deeply concerned about the future of our democracy. The people have a right to know whether they can put their faith and trust in the outcome of our election.
Some of those old battles that many of us thought had been fought and won, we have to re-engage. This is not a time for despair. this is a time for action. That's what I learned from John Lewis.
In one afternoon, 50 years ago, so much of our turbulent history, all that history met on this bridge. Their faith was questioned. Their lives were threatened. Their patriotism challenged. And yet, what could be more American than what happened in this place? The Voting Rights Act was one of the crowning achievements of our democracy. President Reagan signed its renewal when he was in office. President George W. Bush signed its renewal when he was in office. If we want to honor this day, pledge to restore that law this year. That's how we honor those on this bridge.
We will create a beloved community. We will redeem the soul of America. There may be some setbacks, some delays, but as a nation and as a people, we will get there. And I still believe we shall overcome.